He publicly humiliated me, so I systematically ruined his reputation. It wasn't an easy decision, but looking back, I don't regret it one bit. Let me tell you how it all went down. My ex, let's call him Alex, and I had been together for 3 years. I thought he was the one. We talked about marriage, kids, the whole 9 yards. He was charming, ambitious, and everyone loved him. Or so I thought. Our relationship ended abruptly, and I was heartbroken. I tried to handle it with grace, suggesting we part ways amicably. He agreed, but his idea of amicable was very different from mine. A week later, at our mutual friend Sarah's engagement party, the nightmare began. The party was a big deal. Everyone from our social circle and professional network was there. I was trying my best to put on a brave face, mingling and congratulating the happy couple. Then, Alex decided it was his time to shine. He got up to give a toast, which I thought was odd since he wasn't in the wedding party. He started by congratulating Sarah and her fiancé, but then the speech took a sharp, personal turn. He looked directly at me and said, with a smirk, "Speaking of finding the right person, it's also important to know when you've dodged a bullet." A nervous laugh rippled through the room. My heart started pounding. He went on, "Some people just aren't built for a real commitment. They're more interested in climbing the social ladder, using people to get ahead." He didn't say my name, but every eye in the room turned to me. The implication was crystal clear. My face burned with shame. He wasn't done. He then told a distorted, twisted version of a private disagreement we'd had about our careers, painting me as a cold, manipulative opportunist. He made it sound like I had only been with him for his connections. It was a complete fabrication, a cruel caricature of a complex situation designed to inflict maximum damage. He ended his toast by raising his glass and saying, "So here's to Sarah, for finding a partner who is genuine and true, unlike some people I know." The silence that followed was deafening. I felt like 100 pairs of eyes were dissecting me. I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. I managed to slip out of the party without saying goodbye to anyone, tears streaming down my face as soon as I got to my car. The next few days were hell. The whispers followed me everywhere. I got sympathetic but pitying looks at work. Friends who were once close started acting distant. Alex's lies had spread like wildfire. He had poisoned the well, using his charisma to sell a narrative that made him the victim and me the villain. I felt isolated and powerless. I cried for days, replaying his cruel words over and over. But then, the sadness started to curdle into something else, cold, hard anger. He had attacked my character, my reputation, in the most public and cowardly way possible. He thought he could get away with it because he was popular and I was an easy target. He was wrong. I decided I wasn't going to be a victim. If he wanted to play dirty, I could play dirty too. But I was going to be smarter about it. I wasn't going to sink to his level of public slander. Instead, I would use the truth as my weapon. My revenge would be strategic, quiet, and devastating. Phase 1 was information gathering. Alex had always been boastful about his achievements, but I knew there were cracks in his perfect facade. He often exaggerated his role in successful projects at his marketing firm. He took credit for ideas that weren't his. I started reaching out to old colleagues of his, people I knew he had stepped on to get ahead. I didn't mention my breakup or his public humiliation of me. I framed my questions casually. "Hey, I was just thinking about that amazing campaign from a few years back. Wasn't Alex the lead on that?" Slowly but surely, the stories came out. A former team member, let's call her Chloe, told me how Alex had stolen her entire concept for a major client pitch, presented it as his own, and got a promotion for it. She was still bitter but had been too scared to speak up at the time. Another contact confirmed that Alex had fudged the numbers on a quarterly report to make his team's performance look better than it was. I collected these stories, carefully documenting everything, cross-referencing details, and getting permission from people like Chloe to share their experiences anonymously. I was building a dossier, a collection of undeniable truths that painted a very different picture of the golden boy Alex. Phase 2 was strategic dissemination. I couldn't just dump all this information at once. That would look like a messy, vengeful attack. I had to plant seeds of doubt and let them grow naturally. I started with our mutual social circle. When someone brought up Alex's name and praised his recent success, I would gently introduce a counter-narrative. I'd say something like, "Oh, that's interesting. I heard from someone who worked on that project that it was actually a team effort, and a woman named Chloe was the real brains behind it." I never sounded angry or bitter. I sounded surprised, like I was just sharing a fascinating piece of industry gossip. I used the same tactic when discussing his professional reputation. I would drop hints into conversations with people in our industry. It's such a shame when talented people don't get the credit they deserve, I'd say thoughtfully. It really undermines a company's culture. I was planting the idea that Alex wasn't the solo genius he claimed to be. I was chipping away at the foundation of his carefully constructed image, one small, truthful comment at a time. The final and most crucial phase was the professional takedown. Alex was up for a huge promotion at his firm, a director-level position he had been coveting for years. This was my moment. I knew the head of his department, a man named Mr. Harrison, through a professional networking group. He was a stickler for integrity and ethics. I compiled all my research into a concise, anonymous email. It included Chloe's story, the fudged numbers, and 2 other instances of him taking credit for others' work. I made sure it was factual, unemotional, and verifiable. I included the names of the projects and the approximate dates, giving Mr. Harrison a clear path to investigate. I sent the email from a newly created and traceable account. The subject line was simple: concerning the upcoming director promotion. The email was a ticking time bomb. I sent it and then I waited. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. I started to worry it hadn't worked. Maybe Mr. Harrison had dismissed it as a crank email. Alex was still strutting around, more arrogant than ever, telling everyone his promotion was a done deal. Then, the news broke. Not with a bang, but with a quiet, deafening thud. The promotion announcement came out, and Alex's name wasn't on it. Someone else got the job. A few days later, rumors started circulating that an internal investigation had been launched into his past projects. People were being interviewed. His carefully built house of cards was collapsing. Chloe later told me that Mr. Harrison had called her in for a private meeting. He asked her about the old campaign, and this time, she told him everything. With the anonymous email as corroboration, her story was finally believed. Alex wasn't fired. That would have been too messy for the company. Instead, he was sidelined. He was moved to a less significant department. His key accounts were reassigned, and his path to leadership was permanently blocked. He was professionally neutered. The social fallout was just as satisfying. As whispers of the internal investigation leaked out, people started looking at him differently. My carefully planted seeds of doubt had taken root. People remembered my calm, factual comments and started to reconsider the story he had sold them at that party. They saw him now not as a charming victim, but as a fraud. His charisma began to look like manipulation. His confidence seemed like arrogance. He lost his social standing almost overnight. The friends who had once hung on his every word started avoiding him. The last time I saw him was at a coffee shop a few months later. He looked deflated, a ghost of his former self. He saw me, and for a second, I saw a flash of hatred in his eyes. He knew. He must have known it was me, but he couldn't prove it. I had used the truth, a weapon he couldn't defend against. I didn't gloat or smile. I just gave him a small, neutral nod, picked up my coffee, and walked away. He tried to humiliate me and destroy my name, but in the end, he only succeeded in exposing himself for who he truly was. I didn't ruin his reputation with lies. I just held up a mirror and let the truth do the work for me. And that was the most satisfying revenge of all. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever been in a situation where someone tried to tear you down, remember that living well and standing in your truth is the best response. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.